And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what? China. All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
I'm so glad you're here because you can bring great clarity. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sephardic Jews and how they were scattered because they went west?
I sure can.
Because the reason why I want to is because a lot of them, and a lot of people don't know this, are in the Caribbean.
They are.
In the islands.
And you're one of them. I know that.
I'm one of them.
I know that.
Because, you know, a lot of folk don't know that those roots are there. One of the first batches of slaves that came to Jamaica, they were the Sephardic Jews. It's documented.
And they're all over the Caribbean, South America, Central America, and even the South Central United States.
Wow.
And DNA testing is a factor in all this now.
The white man is enacting a story all over the world. We left our homes and flooded the world. We smothered culture. We smothered knowledge. We erased history and rewrote it our way. Myself, my grandfather is 100% Ashkenazi Jewish. Claiming to be Jewish, Ashkenazi Jewish is just a conspiracy. White men claiming to be of tribes of Israel when I'm Germanic. You know, I have no ties to Israel, no ties to Judaism. You know, except loosely written history that's been whitewashed over for centuries. And you know,
from the Renaissance.
Oh yeah, right. You wipe everything clean. It's funny how exactly the Renaissance. It's this rebirth, but it's white rebirth. Think at the same exact time the Renaissance is happening, Columbus is sailing to America and committing genocide.
That's why you called Israel. Is it real? No, it's not. How did we leave there black and come back white? How did we leave there black and come back white? How did we leave there black and come back white? How did we leave there black and come back white? Will somebody answer that for me? Will somebody answer that for me? Will somebody answer that for me? Will somebody answer that for me?
They say, go see the African History Museum. Why do they start when the boats came? Why don't they start with the drums?
When we was kings.
No, they don't want it, but we are kings. But the 400 years doesn't have to deal with slavery. It has to deal with the Bible. It has to deal with us being disobedient to God. Us as 12 tribes of Judah, as a member of the Hebrew people, we are still inside of our genocide. 50% of all black deaths a year is abortion.
נחשף ביערות בורקינה פאסו, שבט קניבלים נטו נטו. שלום למנהיג השבט קזבובו.
שלום עליכם. אברהם יצחק יעקב, יודע עברית, שולחן, חשבונית, קובי פרץ, מוטלס, יבוטאו.
מר קזבובו, כולנו כאן בישראל מופתעים ונרגשים נוכח האפשרות שתעלו ארצה.
קזבובו שמח, 2000 שנות גלות נגמר, רואים אור בקצה של מנהרה.
אתם בטוחים שאתם יהודים?
התחלנו על חנן. אם הוא שחור הוא לא יהודי?
לא בגלל שהוא שחור, הוא...
מה הוא מה?
קניבל.
ומי אתה שתגיד לו מה לאכול, אם הוא קניבל הוא לא יהודי?
אולי תבוא, תעשה אצלנו שבת?
זה לא שיש לי משהו אישי נגדכם, אבל הפלשמורה למשל תקועים.
להתחיל לאסוף את המסתננים, לא צריך לחכות לבג"ץ, לא צריך שום דבר.
אני רואה חרא מחוץ לבית שלי, יריקות, פסיכופטים, אנשים שרק מחפשים איך לרצוח אותי בעיניים שלהם, אבל אף אחד לא מאמין לנו. אנחנו גזענים כדי לרצות לשמור על החיים שלנו ועל השפיות שלנו. אז אני גאה בלהיות גזענית, אם אני גזענית בשביל לשמור על החיים שלי, אז אני גאה.
אל תמכו אותי לנסוע! אל תנסוע עם קושי! לכי את והוא! תלכי מפה! תלכי! אל תנסוע עם קושי! לכי! לא מתביישתם!
Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
Want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Hope all is well with you guys. Decided to do a live tonight. I'm going to reschedule the live tomorrow because I got a lot to do tomorrow. Have a lot to catch up. As far as work to catch up, got a lot of yard work to do, things around the house to do. So I will not be doing the lesson on the Holy Spirit as far as dealing with the tongues. I will not be doing that lesson tomorrow. I'm going to wait and do that one next week. And actually, I'm going to start bringing some of those type of lessons over to the Patreon account. Want to just thank everyone for that subscribe to the Patreon account. Getting ready to upload lesson number 8 and lesson number 9. Had to go through and update the presentation, but I'm going to start putting some of these lessons over on that platform versus here, because these are lessons like this is going in depth into the Hebrew, giving you proper clarity. And I want to make sure that those that have subscribed to the Patreon account really have some jewels, some special teachings for them over there. So I really appreciate everyone for, the support of this platform. I know most of you are not getting the notifications. YouTube has been doing that for quite some time. It's through the grace of the Most High that this platform has grown to where it is. They have done the, shadow banning, and I'm sure that you guys are not really familiar with, many of you are not familiar with shadow banning. What they do is they start, messing with your subscriber numbers, unsubscribing people without you knowing. They would also start, not sending out notifications and a number of different things. Your video views, they'll start really tampering with those things. So they've been doing a lot of that with this platform, taking videos down, giving me strikes. Literally last year, I was in the Facebook jail, not Facebook, but YouTube jail. I've been in Facebook jail as well a number of times, but YouTube jail for 9 out of the 12 months. In one stretch, which from January until April, almost a 4-month stretch with me just with no reason. Didn't give me a reason. Only thing I could do is make a community post, but I couldn't do lives or anything like that. So with that being said, I really appreciate you guys for the love and support, and that we're growing in spite of that. And so this lesson that I want to do tonight, this is a full series, and I'm going to do this series especially for the Patreon group. I'm going to do the full series. This series is literally a 6-week series, really mapping out the hostility, the act of hostility among the Most High's people. And when we really think about what's transpired over the at least a millennium, and then the things that we see happening in the day that we live in, we see there's a lot of hatred among Yah's people. And I want to make it clear: self-hatred, hatred within our communities, it's been there. We have it inside the scriptures. And so tonight, what I really want to deal with is deal with the spirit, right? Really give you clarity on how do you identify who's Esau, because many of our brothers and sisters look for the physical side, right? Because truth be told, Esau is, the original Edomites, just like Judah. They are not completely wiped away, contrary to what many people think. Many teach that the Caucasians or the white man per se, they are Edomites. No, that's not true. And I'm going to give you clarity what that means, because you do have Edomites that were in the temple. You do have Edomites. King Herod was an Edomite king. King Herod appointed 70 of the 72 Sanhedrin to be part of that council. They were Edomites, right? And when you understand 70 AD, the Romans, when they saw the Edomites, they couldn't tell the difference between the Edomites physically and Israel. They kicked all of them out. They punished all of them, right? So when you see the Edomites of today, many of them are converts, because if you study the text, Esau knew the name of the Most High. He served the Most High, just like Jacob did. They served the Most High. They were Hebrews, but I'm going to show you the distinction here. So we're going to get into it. I'm not going to go too deep into that area because I really want to stay on point with the lesson today. So I want to make it clear. Esau did not disappear. They mingle with other countries, other nations, but they are Edomites in Africa that looks just like you and I. That makes it clear that they're Edomites. So contrary to what many people think, they did not mesh with other kingdoms. They did not get absorbed. That's not even biblical. They did not become totally absorbed by other nations. That's a fact, no matter how we look at it. Just like the descendants of Ishmael did not get completely absorbed, the Moabites did not get completely absorbed. You still have a core that is in existence. And I'm going to get some videos and I'm going to share with you guys. I meant to put it in here, but I'll get some clips proving to you that there are Edomites over in Africa, that makes it clear that they are Edomites, look just like you and I, dark just like you and I. So I want to make this clear, contrary to what many are teaching. And I see a comment here that Esau mixed with Chittim and became one with the Grecians, aka most of the Caucasians. That's what I'm talking about. That's not true. There's no historical facts to that. Some of them did, but study 70 AD, study the Iberian Peninsula, and you'll see that many, when we start dealing with the Khazarians, they're converts. They converted to the practice of Esau's version of practicing Torah. So again, and this is not insulting anyone, but I want to be clear. We have to make sure that we do our due diligence. Esau is not the Caucasians. If you're saying that Esau is the Caucasians, then you're saying all the Caucasians are Hebrews. because Esau and Jacob, they both were Hebrews. We can't say descendants of Japheth and then at the same breath saying they are the descendants of Esau. That is completely incorrect. So we're going to touch on it, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. It's just when you look at it over time, you will understand that there's a lot of misinformation that we were subjected to, starting with being within the church. Who we are. Then when we got outside the church, many of our brothers and sisters are still pulling on deceptive practices and deceptive doctrines. So we want to be real with that, family. So again, look it up. And if you go back and look at the lesson I did on the Jehovah Witnesses, I show that Esau knew the name of the Most High. If Jacob was worshiping the Most High, Esau was worshiping the Most High as well. And that's what the scriptures. So if Jacob and Esau was worshiping the Most High, then guess what? I could prove to you that Ishmael was worshiping the Most High. So we have to be careful again of stating that Esau is Caucasians, because just like, and I can pull some sources here. I could go to Rocks. What is it? Rocks. I got to pull up the source. I could go to sources and show that it's medically proven that the Jewish community that we know today could not live in the original Israel, could not live in that harsh condition in terms of the weather, the heat. That's why many of them are dealing with all kinds of diseases, such as skin cancer. Is at an all-time high in that area. So if that happened, if that was among them, it'd be the same thing among the so-called what many of some people are teaching to be the Edomites. That's a dead giveaway right there. That the Edomites, right? I mean, not the Edomites, that the Caucasians could not handle, their bodies could not handle the harshness of the weather, of the heat there. That was one of the reasons why it was hard for Rome to go deep into Africa, because of the heat. They couldn't handle that heat. They couldn't handle that desert. And that's what made what's his name? Hannibal so powerful, because he knew how to maneuver. All right, but we'll deal with that another time. But in this lesson, we still want to touch on some of that. And I'm going to share with you guys the passage that really opened my eyes, right? To really open my eyes, to make me see things clearer, right? To make me see things clearer. I'm going to share with you scriptures that I just preparing for my Sunday message. I was when I was preparing for the closing of my sermon, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do a whole lesson on this particular chapter. And when I began to go into that chapter and really exegete the text, so to speak, man, it stirred up questions. And before you know it, everything clicked. And I'll share it with you when I get to that point. So this lesson here is going to deal with active hostility, self-hatred among our community. Because truth be told, family, Edomites, a true full-blooded Edomite, they're going to look just like you and I. So how do you tell the difference? And we're going to touch on that. So I'm going to tie this into the video I had up with the whole Buffalo situation, with the Black Lives Matter, BLM, going at the camp up there. You guys saw the video earlier, me expressing my thoughts. And this news channel called themselves News to Share, called themselves trying to put a strike on my platform, because not my platform, our platform, because I gave the proper title of that video, because they titled it that Buffalo community and Black Lives Matter confronts the Black Hebrew Israelites. So the way that they wrote up the description of the video and the title, they was focusing on the camp that was up there and not focusing on the actual person that operated in hatred that murdered 11 people. And the sad thing about it was our own brothers and sisters trying to get the police officers to go stir up trouble with those men that was out there, evangelizing, whether you agree with them being out there or not. If you have a problem with them being out there, then you need to have a problem with the Black Lives Matter and other organizations that was out there. That's the constitutional rights to be out there. So with that being said, I'm not going to prolong going into this lesson, but this is going to tie into that. And I am going to upload a lesson here, a lecture here by Dr. Claude Anderson. Powerful lesson he gave. I came across the video about 7-8 years ago, and I played it internally, and it's called Inappropriate Behaviors. And we'll get that up here. All right, so here we go. We're going to get into it, family, and I'm going to start off with some things that you guys are already familiar with, and some things you are going to be familiar with some of the things that I point out. It's going to be a refresher to you, and that's fine. Some things we need to just continuously rehearse. All right, but I want to do this lesson here. It's a series that I put together. Literally, this series is like 6 years old. I taught it in our assembly, just really mapping it out of who's who. How did Israel become a divided kingdom? It's showing and proving that they were divided long before they physically became divided. All right, so this is a section out of that lesson. So let's go ahead and get into it, family. Let's get into it. All right. So let's start with this prophecy right here, right? Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. Right? This is a prophecy here. You guys hear me talk about this a lot, right? This is a key prophecy, and you guys make a note of this as we go through these scriptures. It's imperative, not just these scriptures, going through these lessons, write these verses down and go back and revisit them, because it's going to help you grow. It's going to help you be able to articulate this truth to others, because we all should be able to prophesy, speak the words of encouragement of the Most High to our brothers and sisters. That is a key gift of the Holy Spirit. All right, being able to speak the word of the Most High to those that may be unbelievers or in others that may be babes in this walk. All right, so this is a key verse. Make a note of this verse, because I'm going to use this as the foundation as we transition over to Esau and Jacob. So it says here, and I will put enmity, ayaba, between thee and the woman, and between thy seed, Zara is the Hebrew word for seed, Zara, and her seed, Zara. It shall bruise, shawap, thy head, and thou shalt bruise, shawap, his heel. And family, it's important to know that when you're dealing with bruises, right, those could be subtle marks that you can have that, or should I say, you can have physical pain on your body. You can have, pain in certain parts of your body, but there's not a physical mark there as far as that you can actually see it there, but you can feel the pain, right? You could feel that something is hurting on your body from whether, let's just say, you bumped your leg, bumped your arm, there's not a actual mark there, but it's bruised there, it's sore there, it's maybe a little swelling in that area. That's a bruise. And when we think about the bruises that that we're dealing with here, one of the things that got bruised hard is the word of the Most High. Through these different Bible translations, through these schools of theology, the word of the Most High has been bruised. In other words, we as the Most High's people, the people that have oppressed us made it a point to make sure we have butter knives going to a fight, going to war with butter knives. So when we see bruise, those are like subtle things, subtle damages that can be taken, that can be inflicted on a person. A bruise. Again, you may have a slight swelling or just a slight redness in a certain area. Subtle, right? Bruise. And we have a lot of bruises in translations and many people that are teaching this word. All right. So, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head. And the Hebrew word that would be in this text would be ra'ash. In the Israeli language is pronounced resh. And so ra'ash, which means head, it means protocol, right? So it says, thou bruise thy head and thou shalt bruise his heel. So what is enmity? We're going to answer this question here. What is enmity? This is what enmity means, right? This is coming from the Oxford Dictionary. You see lexico up here, but it's the Oxford. That's why it says powered by Oxford English and Spanish Dictionary, right? So this is what Oxford says. This is how this word is defined. The state or feeling of being actively opposed or hostile to someone or something. So we see here, when you see me say act of hostility, right? I took that title from this definition because it sums up that enmity is act of hostility, proactive hostility. And we've been subjected to what? Active hostility against us. There is an act of hostility against the people of the Most High. All right. So again, the state or feeling of being actively opposed or hostile to someone or something. So we're going to deal with, again, the spirit of active hostility, ayaba, all right? Or some would say aiba. So the seed, zara'ai or zara of hostility, ayaba or aiba, was planted, right? That seed, zara or zara'ai, was planted. So the question is, when was the seed of hostility planted? When was the seed planted? Well, Genesis chapter 3, right? We see the seed being planted. Verse 5 and 6. Notice what it says here, but we're going to highlight verse 5. For Allahayim doeth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes, ayan, shall be open, pakwak, and ye shall be as Allahayim, knowing good and evil. And when the woman, Asha, saw the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired, to make one wise, she took of the fruit, parai, or parayai, paraya. So parai or paraya, right? That's if you pronounce every letter as a syllable. So parai, thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband, Ayash, with her, and he did eat akal. So what is the forbidden fruit? See, family, this is the key to understanding the spirits that we're dealing with here. Because in the very beginning, we see two spirits that we're dealing with: the spirit of the serpent, the spirit of the seed of the woman. Right? We're going to, we're dealing with a spirit here, right? Two separate spirits. So the question is, what is the forbidden fruit? What is that forbidden fruit that caught Eve up? What is the forbidden fruit that caught Adam up? What is that forbidden fruit that seduced them, to cause them to go against the things of the Most High? And that forbidden fruit is still being eaten today. It starts with understanding, right? To answer this question, it starts with understanding some key Hebrew letters. Let's deal with some letters, right? This first letter that you see here is the Pa, right? This is the Pa. This letter means mouth, mind, words, instructions, command. The numerical value is 80. The key is we see mouth, right? Your literal mouth, your mind, right? The words, instructions, command. But guess what? This also ties in together with your mind and mouth, because when Paul says, let this mind be in you that is in the Messiah, what he's saying is, let the words that came out of the Messiah's mouth, let your mouth be in sync with what the Messiah would say. That's what he's actually stating here. That's what he means. That's the proper context of that particular passage. So when we understand pa, it means mouth, mind, words, instructions, command, right? And that's the pictograph, right? Lips. That's the front. This is the front profile of lips. This is the side profile of a mouth. Front, right? Doesn't this look familiar? A lot of the blackface minstrels you see, what do they place the point of emphasis on? Our lips. They know we're the people of the book. They know no one can sing like we sing. No one can praise the Most High like we can praise the Most High. Look up the word gospel in the Oxford Dictionary. You'll see a special entry for our people. So side profile of a mouth, the front profile of a mouth. All right. So again, mouth, mind, words, instructions, command. The next letter is the Ra'ash. In the Israeli language, it's pronounced Resh. As you see, head, top, rank, beginning, numerical value is 200, right? So head, top, rank, beginning, right? And so how did we get this number 200? Like when the first 10 letters of the ancient Hebrew letters they go into the increments of 1. Then once you get to the second 10, right, they go into the increments of 10. And then when you get to the last set of letters, right, then the numerical value goes into the increments of 100, right? So that's why you see the numerical value of being 200. Okay, so we see here head, top, rank, beginning. So think about whenever you see head, think about this letter, Resh or Ra'ash. It means head, top, rank, protocol. And you see that afro on this pictograph, right? With this particular letter. The next letter is called the Yad, right? Hand, arm, redemption. Numerical value is 10. So when you think about the number 10, sometimes when you see it in the scriptures, you'll see Yad, right? 10. And that when you see hand, think of redemption. Every time you see hand or arm, think about redemption. And the pictograph is what? A side profile of an outstretched arm with the hands extended. Almost look as if a quarterback is hiking the ball, the side profile of a quarterback hiking the ball from a center, right? So that's the pictograph. Next, we have the ion, right? It means eye, it means sight, it means watch. The numerical value is 70. Makes you think about the 70 elders being filled with the Holy Spirit, right? Numbers chapter 11, you'll see that. That's if you really want to get a better understanding of the day of Pentecost, where the Holy Spirit filled the disciples and those that was in that house with them, right? In Acts chapter 2, guess what? Go to Numbers chapter 11 and it will put things in its proper perspective. And actually, Paul quotes from that when he's teaching on the gifts of the Holy Spirit, especially when he deals with the gift of tongues. He actually quotes from Numbers chapter 11. Actually, he did a lot of quoting from Deuteronomy as well. When Deuteronomy chapter 17 and Deuteronomy 19, when he's dealing with witnesses, when he's dealing with interpreters, he's dealing with the law of 2 and 3 witnesses. But anyway, we see here the pictograph is an eye. So here's the Hebrew definition of the word open. But notice what you see, pakwak, right? But that primitive in Hebrew, you have many will focus on primitive root words, but actually it's the primitive root letter, because that would give you clarity, help you get an understanding of what the word actually means. So here's the Hebrew definition of the word open, right? And notice it starts with the word pa, right? So it says here to be open, to be observant. That's what this word means. But it also says to open, in other words, one's eyes. And guess what? Out of the abundance of the heart, the what speak? The mouth, right? So we see this first letter, pa, right? Mouth, as we just covered, mind, command, right? Then we see the qua, right? And the quap, it means balance. It means balance. And then we see the kath or chet inside the Israeli language, which also means divide. It means wall, divide, defense. Okay. So to be open, to be observant, that's what this word means. So what is the Hebrew word for, or the word that transliterates into the word fruit? Well, I'm going to give it to you, right? You see parai, right? Or paraya, however you want to pronounce it. But notice we see the word pa as the letter pa as being the primitive root letter. So it's dealing with your mouth, right? So the Hebrew definition of this word means this: to bear fruit, bring forth fruit, fruitful, grow, increase, right? Because the key to fruits is that they're edible, right? To go right inside what? Your mouth. So pa, we have the ra'ash or raresh, which means protocol. And then ha, right? Which means behold, right? We see this as an expression, arms lifted up. Behold. So to bear fruit, bring forth fruit, fruitful, grow, increase. So what is the forbidden fruit? I think I gave you a clue. I've given you a major clue, and here's the letter right here, right? This is the letter pa, and remember, it means mouth, mind, words, instructions, command. So I gave you a major nugget right here to understand what the forbidden fruit is. So what is the forbidden fruit? Right? Well, let me break it down. Let me give you the Hebrew definition of the word mouth, because when you look up the word, many cases in the scriptures, you'll see pie, right? Pie, right? Pa-I, right? So we'll see this, the pa and the ya together, mouth, right? Or pa-ya, some would say pa-ya. So notice what we see here, the mouth. And as you see here, it says pe. That's the Israeli pronunciation of it. The mouth, specifically edge, portion, or side. Remember, we showed the side profile of the mouth, or the pa, and we showed the front, right? So again, the mouth, specifically edge, portion, or side. Notice what we see here, command, commandment. Say, saying, should saying, sentence, talk. Notice here, two-edged sword, right? Mouth. So our Messiah, he answered this question, and I'm going to show you how he answered this question of what is the forbidden fruit. This is Matthew chapter 4, verse 4. We still want to tie this in to Esau, Jacob and Esau. And it says here, but he answered and said unto him, it is written, kath waba, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh. Now, in the transliterations, you'll see God, right? Again, family, we gotta get out of this Greek, this Roman, this European mindset, because we're so institutionalized to saying God versus the actual name of the Most High. So notice what it says here. I'll show you here. It says the mouth of God. No, the Most High's name is not God. His name is not a generic term. And notice what it tells you, where to tell you, it tells you where to go to, where the Messiah is quoting from. It says Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 3. We're going to visit that, and we want to see the name that's actually there. It's not God. That's not the name of the Most High. That's a generic label. Now, from a Norse perspective, that's the name of deities from the Norse religion, right? You have Gater Damarung, which also is a place where their deities go when they die or are killed or whatever. But that's dealing with the Norse deities. But anyway, But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh. Right? This is where the Messiah is going through his wilderness experience. Right? But notice this here. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 3. And he humbled thee, dealing with Israel, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna. Right? So he allowed Israel to go through certain situations. Right? Learn so that way they can learn from their actions, learn from their poor decisions, learn to trust the Most High. It says, and he humbled thee, suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, which simply means, what is this? That's what manna means. Manna means, what is this? Which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, and that he might make thee know that man doeth not live by bread alone, but by what? Every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Yahweh doeth man live. That's what the Messiah is quoting. And when you go to the Hebrew, now notice you don't see God here, you see Lord. And you know, for some of you guys that are learning Hebrew, wherever you see the word Lord, for the most part, especially in caps and these translations, this is where the Most High name is. Some cases you'll see Adonai Yah, but most cases you'll see Yah or Yahweh. You'll see the full name or you see the contracted name, right? So the Messiah is not saying God. He's not saying Theos. He's not dealing with none of that. He's speaking Hebrew. So he's actually saying the literal name of the Most High, Yahweh. So we have to live by every word. So the law, statutes, and commandments, the words of the Most High, right? So what is the forbidden fruit? I just gave you the answer. But what is the forbidden fruit? Here's another major clue. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 20 and 21. This is the answer right here. Notice this. A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Death, right? Mawath, and life, Chayam, are in the power of the tongue, Lashawan. And they that love it shall eat the fruit, Parai, thereof. So we just got the answer of what the forbidden fruit is. So the forbidden fruit is conversations, family. The forbidden fruit is the words that come out of your mouth, engaging in conversations that you should not be engaging in, family. You know, this is where we have to understand. That's the key. So a man thinketh, so is he. Out of the abundance of the house, the mouth, the heart, the mouth speak. So the forbidden fruit is conversations, family. The forbidden fruit is having discussions, entertaining discussions that we should not be entertaining. That's why I narrowed, I cut down a lot of stuff in entertaining conversations. You know, social media can be a very dangerous place. A lot of foul spirits on social media. And what do we see among our community? Conversations. Instigating with what? The mouth. A lot of backbiting, infighting among Yah's people. And we could just start with the leadership. So many people trying to pump up their platforms by attacking others. By attacking others. Right? So again, this is where we have to be careful, family. The forbidden fruit is conversation, and social media has stirred up that forbidden fruit. It has so many people losing their souls and selling their soul over that forbidden fruit. That forbidden fruit is no joke, family. Conversations. So the forbidden fruit is conversation, right? Parai, that's fruit. We just broke this word down. Mouth, instructions, command, mind, word. The Ra'ash or Radesh, head, top, rank, beginning. The Yad, hand, arm, also redemption. right? I didn't put the in-depth study of this letter here because for the sake of time, and I didn't want to take away from the overall intent of the lesson. So I want to make it clear there's a perpetual fulfillment of this prophecy of enmity, active hostility. Now let's go to Genesis 25, verse 22. This is what it says. And the children, Ban Yam or Ban Ya or Banai, right? Or Banim. I'm just giving some of the Israeli pronunciations. And the children, Ban Ya, struggle together within her, right? Struggle within her. Quarab. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of who? Yahweh. This is Rachel, right? This is Rachel trying to figure out what is going on. Something's going on with this pregnancy. It's unusual. Something is going on with this pregnancy. She's having all kinds of problems. And so what she did was she sought the Most High for the answer. She sought Yahweh. So struggle, Ratazah or Ratazah, right? Some would say Ratzatz, right? Struggle. It means to make forceful or violent efforts to get free of restraint, engage in conflict, make one's way with difficult struggle, right? So struggle again means to make forceful or violent efforts to get free of restraint, engage in conflict, make one's way with difficulties. That's what the word struggle means in Hebrew. All right. So there was a struggle. They were wrestling inside the womb. So the struggle inside the womb was not based on skin complexion. Let me say this again, family. The struggle inside the womb had nothing to do with skin complexion. Let me say that one more time. The struggle inside the womb of Rachel's womb had nothing to do with skin complexion. So let me give it a 3-piece here. Nothing to do with skin complexion. Here's the Webster Unabridged Dictionary, 1913 definition of ruddy, because I want to deal with ruddy, Adam Wam, right? I want to deal with ruddy, right? Some would say pronounce it Adom. That's dealing with when you start getting into Israeli language, using that Y as a vowel letter and saying Adom, right? But we're dealing with ancient Hebrew. So I want to really give clarity with ruddy. I keep going over it. I'm going to keep rehearsing this here. Let me show you the Webster Unabridged Dictionary, 1913 definition of ruddy. And family, you could download these sources here. I encourage you to do so. But notice here, we're going to focus on entry number 2. It says of a lively flesh color or the color of the human skin in high health. Right. So when you see ruddy, all it's just saying is that, hey, it means healthy skin, has nothing to do with what is made out to be today. Like when someone see like, people that are called Caucasian that are referred to as rednecks. Oh, see, that's Esau. No, that's not what ruddy means. Someone blushing and their face get red or whatever. That's not ruddy. Ruddy actually means of a lively flesh color, especially when we're dealing with the scriptures, the biblical text, of a lively flesh color or the color of the human skin in high health. So let's confirm this. You guys going to remember this. Remember this from last night, and I teach this. I bring this source up periodically. I've been doing it for years on top of years. Was Esau a white man? Family, absolutely not. Esau he was not a white man. What? The images that you see people using showing a melanated baby and a non-melanated baby, or a baby with pigmentation challenged, they would have that to believe that that's what this chapter or this verse is depicting. That's not the true depiction of Jacob and Esau. They both had dark skin. But the difference is one was hairy. That's the actual difference between the two. They both were dark melanated people. So let me show you here that Esau was not, as many are teaching right now, the white man.
What?
All right, let me show it here. You guys remember this. The International Standard Bible Encyclopedia 1915. Get these sources. Download it for yourself. Don't just keep seeing, watching me go through this over and over again. Download it for yourself. So by the time I get to this, you can recite this as I'm going along. This is like a refresher to you. Ruddy. Ruddy is the form, as you see here, ruddy is the form taken by the adjective red, the adjective red, right? When used as a term of praise of human skin. Let me read it one more time so that way you guys can understand, right? Ruddy, let me say it again. Ruddy is the form taken by the adjective red when used as a term of praise of human skin. Brothers and sisters, you be proud of the tone of your skin. Don't let any of these people, or when I say these people, anyone that's opposing us, or many would say start coming up with all kinds of terms like skin doctrine. Don't let any of these people deceive you with that nonsense. Because here it is. Isn't it skin doctrine right here, according to their definition? The Israelites were proud of their dark skin. And please don't try to dumb down. Some of us have a tendency of trying to dumb down their appearance. Oh, we come in all shades. When you're dealing with this part of the country, yes, you're going to have some shades within the overall community. But the bulk of them are going to be what? Dark skin. Because many start putting a but in it. Well, I understand Israelites, they were in all shades and all colors. Come on, family, let's stop that. And I want to say peace and blessings. I want to thank my sister Sharon Glover for the blessing, for the seed, the contribution tonight. Really appreciate you, sister. Thank you for the love, the support. Really appreciate you. Thank you again. And family, let's show some love for Miss Glover here. Let's show our sister some love as she is showing us love here. Thank you again. Thank you, ma'am. I really appreciate it. We appreciate you. Thank you again for the love and support. Thank you. So again, family, as you see here, right? As you see here, ruddy, that's what it means. That's what it means, family. That's what it means. That's what ruddy actually means. This is what it actually means. So I just want to give you clarity on here. Not going to get into a lot of the chit chatter, but it's straight to the point here. Straight to the point. You cannot get away from this. Let me read it again. Ruddy is the form taken from the adjective red when used as a term of praise of the human skin. And this is its use in the Bible, right? The dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty in a clear complexion. The dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty in a clear complexion. And I'm going to say it again. The dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty in a clear complexion.
It's time to dance. It's time to dance. Dance, sucker.
Come on, family. Come on, family. We can't get around it. We cannot get around it, family. Matter of fact, I know some of you guys like it when I do this, but let me say this in slow mo for some of the people that don't understand this, right? Let me read that last line in slow mo. The dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty in a clear complexion. For the people in the back. You can't get around it, family. You cannot get around it. So let's go to back to Genesis chapter 25, verse 23. Let's go back here. And Yahweh said unto her, two nations. Now notice if you go into the ancient Hebrew, you'll see Ga, Yam, right? That's the plurality, right? Ga, Yam, right? In the Israeli language is Goyim. Wait a minute, but he said there's two nations. But see, again, theology and these agendas behind theology, and matter of fact, I'm not even going to just blame it on the church. The Jewish community, as we know them today, has their hands on this as well. Gentile, that word Gentile is a word of confusion. The origin of that word didn't mean those that are not Jews. No, it actually meant those that are born of a certain group, begat from a certain group, a certain people. So when Yahweh said unto her, two nations, Gayam, are in thy womb, but Tanakh. Two nations are inside thy womb, and two manners, this is the key, family, two manner, Shanai, of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger, Amatazah, or Amatz, than the other people, and the elder shall serve Abad, the younger. This has nothing to do with skin complexion, family. This has nothing to do with skin complexion. Let me say that again, family. This has nothing to do with skin complexion. Because as we read before, the dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty in what? A clear complexion. Ruddy means the praise of healthy human skin. All right, so just wanted to give you clarity on here. All right, let's continue here. So let me highlight this again. And Yahweh said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people. The elder shall serve the younger. So when we go to verse 26, notice what it says. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob, right? Notice here, heel, Aquab, right? The Hebrew word for heel is Aquab. Now, Jacob's name was called Jacob, right? Because of him grabbing hold of his brother's heel, right? So instead of being called Aquab, he was called Yah Aquab, which means, and with the Hebrews, they will put what? Yah's name, they put his name associated with the names. So guess what? Yah, right? His name, the first portion, that first letter, Yah, the Yad, right? Also means arm. It means outstretched arm. So Jacob's outstretched arms was on the heel of Esau. Outstretched arms, Yah or Yad, Aquab, outstretched arms grabbing hold of who? Esau's heel. So let me say this again. Let me read this again, because we're dealing with the manner of the people. I hope you guys grab hold of this. Notice what it says here. Right? And I want to make this clear, family. I want to say this again. Not all of Esau's descendants are Caucasians or have mixed with Caucasians. Anyone that's teaching you are not giving you clarity and giving you facts. There are still Edomites that are dark, melanated people, look just like you and I, that still live in Africa, live in what many call the Northeast Africa or Middle East, as well as the Near East area. So I want to make this clear. Esau descendants did not get mixed with everyone. And I want to say that again because too many people are teaching that Esau had become the white man. So let's stop with that, family. Let's look at it for what it is. 70 AD, the Romans didn't just kick out Israel. They kicked out the Edomites as well. The Edomites look just like their cousins, Israel. They were all up in the temple too. Contrary to what the Most High told Israel not to do in Malachi chapter 1. But what did Israel do? The king of Judah in the time of the Maccabees allowed the Udameans to dwell among them, which was completely wrong, against what the Most High has said. So let's I just want to be clear with that. Let's stay free of some of these poor teachings saying that Esau became the white man. No, that's incorrect. Esau, some of his descendants mingled, just like, truth be told, some of Jacob's descendants mingled, but not all of them mingled, family. So, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, Aquab, and his name was called Jacob, Aquab. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. Right? So manner, right? Let's deal with this word manner. Means a well-trodden road, path, race, rank, traveler, troop, by highway, manner, right? So two nations, two paths, two spirits, right? Two different spirits. So they were not placing a point of emphasis on their physical condition. We're dealing with the spirit of Esau versus the spirit of Jacob. And guess what? There was some issues here. What was the spirit of Jacob? Come on, family. We're gonna knock this thing down because we're gonna prove that we are the people of the book. Let's see what Jacob's name. Remember Jacob's name? What is the spirit of Jacob? Let me show you here. Genesis chapter 25, verse 27 and 28. Let's see the spirit of Jacob, right? Right? And the spirit of Esau. Spirit of Jacob, spirit of Esau. Right now, the key is Jacob's name, and we're going to get back to that in a second. But the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in the tents. So here it is. You see two manners. Jacob was he lived in the tents. He would be equivalent to what is deemed the house Negro, the house Nagad, the house niggers. All right. For those that don't understand, when we start understanding these words, we have to understand that Nagad, right? Negas, nigger, right? Those are actual titles for leadership, right? So when I say Nagas, right? Nigga. What's the other word that I just said? Nagid. Nigger. Or nigga. Guess what? Those are honorable terms.
Strong's G 3526. Niger. Niger.
Negus.
Negus.
Right? Those are honorable words. But Jacob, as we see here, he dwelt in the tents, the house. He was a plain man. Plain, when we understand that, that's an honorable term. But Jacob had a different spirit, right? He got into his flesh. And we're going to see that he still dealt with some things that he struggled with while he was in the womb, when his brother came out first. So when the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. So this tells you that Esau was athletic. He was a hunter. He was a man of the field. Jacob dwelt in the tents. That means he had gifts like cooking. He had gifts of tending to other parts, like family matters and things along that line, being in, right there at the, front row seat to those things. So this is where you get the house Negro or Nagad, right? This is where you get the house Negas, right? This is where you get that term from, Negas or Nagad or Nagid or Negas.
Nigger.
Anyway, let me start with that, anyway. So this is giving you a more of an understanding of the two individuals, right? But notice verse 28. Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison. So both of them knew how to cook, right? But Esau was that athletic son who is what they would call a man's man. And it says Rebekah loved Jacob. So you have favoritism here. You see division among the parents. Each one have their favorite of the twins. So what is the spirit of Jacob? Let's deal with the spirit of Jacob, right? Remember what we said about his name, right? Not just his name, but it said he dwelt in its tent. He was plain. Now here's the Hebrew word, right? The ancient Hebrew word is tham, right? But notice what we see here in the Israeli language is pronounced tam, perfect, plain, undefiled, upright. So guess what? Many of you guys, because of these are one of the words that have been corrupted. Some man, you better not say to any of us that we are Tom. You call somebody Tom, guess what? They ready to take your head off, right? You call somebody a Tom, right? They ready to go Afro Thunder on you. They ready to do this to you.
It's time to dance. It's time to dance. Dance, sucker.
Actually, they want to go this on you.
It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over.
See, Tom, those are fighting words. Those are fighting words in our community right now. Call somebody Tom right now who don't understand this. See, it's some key words. There's several key words, and Malcolm X was completely wrong. I did a thorough teaching on that. I'm gonna have to do that teaching. I haven't done that teaching in years. When he described the house Negro and the field Negro. When you hear that phrase or that label, house Negro, field Negro, it comes from Jacob and Esau. All right. So notice this. All right. Notice this here. So we see that that's his spirit right here. But Jacob was also a heel grabber. Let me say this again, family. Jacob was also a heel grabber. Let me say it one more time. Jacob was also a heel grabber. One more time. Jacob was also a heel grabber.
What?
That's right, family. He was a heel grabber. Right? Here's the definition of his name. Heel catcher, heel holder. Right? This is where you get the phrase or the spirit that we would refer to as bucket of crabs. Somebody said Jacob jacked up, right? Jack up, right? Jacob had that spirit of what we would define bucket of crab. That bucket of crab mentality. The bucket of crabs, family. He was a heel catcher, a heel grabber, a heel holder. Now, truth be told, contrary to what you guys know about crabs, right? When crabs cling to each other, They're not clinging to each other to hold each other back. Actually, that's a defense for them, because what they would do is they would get into these massive mounds to give the appearance that they're one mass. So when stingrays and other fish try to prey on them, right, they can't penetrate them. It put fear in them. So when you see that when crabs are being pulled out of a pot, or being placed in a pot rather, to cook, right, what they do is they try to cling on to each other as a form of defense. Just thought I'd share a little, what they would call a trivia with you about crabs, right? Crabs, they don't hold each other back. That's a defense. They try to gather together. They try to form a big mass. But here Jacob was holding Esau back. So Jacob was a heel catcher. He was a heel holder. Jacob struggled with the spirit of what we would call bucket of crabs, right? Guess what? Jacob, he stole his brother's identity. No one wanted to talk about that. We see the very first identity theft by who? Even though the prophecy was told that in Genesis chapter 9, that Japheth would dwell in the tents of Shem as well as Cain. In other words, take their identity, live in their homes, take, and also their place of worship. But we see here, Jacob stole his brother's identity. He was operating in a bucket of crabs, or the heel grabber mentality from the womb. He could not allow his brother to he did not want to see or feel that Esau was getting ahead of him. So he stole his brother's identity. Is that a reason why we're dealing with identity theft right now as being descendants of Jacob, a descendant of Israel, as being part of the punishment that Jacob did to his own brother, stole his identity? And now what are we dealing with right now? Stolen identity. We're dealing with a stolen identity. So Jacob lied and deceived his father Isaac to get that identity, to get that blessing, right? That the key blessing, the blessing, not the birthright blessing, because guess what? Esau gave that up. But the blessing, the messianic blessing, the royal seed blessing. So the perpetual fulfillment of the prophecy of enmity, we see it taking place. Here it goes. When we go to Genesis 27, verse 40 and 41, still dealing with Esau and Jacob. Notice this is the prophecy. This is what was spoken to him, because his father Isaac said, hey, I don't have any other blessing. I can't give you the same blessing I gave to Jacob, but I'm going to give this to you. He says this, verse 40, and by the sword, Karab, shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have dominion, right? Rayad, that thou shalt break his yoke, Allah, from off thy neck. And I can point this out in scripture. I'm not going to get into that portion of it, but I could point it out where this prophecy was fulfilled, that Esau broke, or the Edomites broke the yoke of bondage from being free from Israel. Okay. Verse 41. Notice this here, family. Now we get into the meat and potatoes here. And Esau hated Shatam, Jacob, because of the blessing, right? Because of the blessing, Barak, there wherewith his father blessed Barak him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay Harag, my brother, Akai, Jacob. Right? So we're going to break this down, because Esau made it clear that once dad is gone, he's going to handle his brother. See, I grew up in a household of 14 of us, right? 14 of us, right? And mostly boys, mostly boys, 9 of us boys, right? My brothers and my cousins, we all grew up in one household. Not all of my cousins, but we grew up in one household, and we was raised as brothers and sisters. But man, we used to have our moments. Man, we'll say to each other, wait till Mun leave. We're gonna fight when Mun leave. We had so many fights and some good times that I think about, living in the projects, man. But anyway, that's what Esau told Jacob. When Dad going, guess what? Me and you going to square up. We're gonna go at it. We are going to go at it. All right. So let's go and let's really break this down. So Esau hated Shatam, Jacob, right? Esau hated Jacob. Hate Shatam. Now I want to break this down for you, family, because this is going to tie into the scripture that really opened my eyes in terms of the deception. Notice what it says here. Satam, even though in ancient Hebrew it's pronounced Shatam, because when we start dealing with the S sound, when we deal with the sheen, or in the Israeli language, it can be pronounced seen or sheen, depending on where that dot, that nakud or naquad is positioned. So this is why you see a s in ancient Hebrew, it would be shatam. Right? Now there is a s sound in ancient Hebrew, the samak. Israeli language is pronounced samek. So we see shatam, right? Notice what it says: to lurk for, an example, persecute, hate. Now I want you to pay attention to this transliteration. It says transliterated to Satan. So shatam is transliterated to Satan. Wait a minute. So it says Esau hated his brother. So now we see that we see that this word Shatam, which transliterates to Satan, which goes all the way back to, as I pointed out, the key prophecy of Genesis 3:15, the active hostility of the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman. And we know that the seed of the serpent is not saying Hasatan has had intimacy with a woman and produced the seed. That's not what it's saying. We're dealing with the spirit, the order, the manner. Right? That's that prophecy that was given to Rachel goes all the way back to Genesis 3:15. So Shatan means to lurk for, persecute, hate, oppose, self against. And then when we see down here in the sub entry, to hate, oppose oneself. It means bear a grudge, retain animosity against, cherish animosity against. Come on, family. So here we go, still dealing with this perpetual fulfillment of the prophecy, enmity. So hate, shatam, means to lurk, right? And it's transliterated to Satan. So here is the scripture, because that tied all the way in to John chapter 8, verse 36 and 37, right? If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. Come on, you family, y'all know this scripture. Many of you guys grew up in the church. Man, this is one of the closeout passages, one of the closeout verses when you closing out your sermons, especially when you're in the Pentecostal, like Kojic, or the holiness churches, or the apostolic ministries. Man, this is one of those guaranteed to get the people excited verses. And the Son thereof shall make you free, and ye shall be free indeed. You hear all kinds of quoting of this text here. And you know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And some of you guys, moment you hear that tone of voice, you guys are ready to shout. You guys are ready to do a praise break. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That was like a guarantee, get you excited when you closing out your passage, when you closing out your sermon. If the Son therefore shall make you free, and many will quote it and say, if the Son set you free, you shall be free indeed. The Son make you free, you shall be free indeed. Different variations of how many would quote this. But if the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. Right? I know ye are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me because my word hath no place in you. See, when you study this text, it will tell you that the Messiah is dealing with Jews. But we have to understand that that word is a word of confusion. Because when you understand Torah, all through Torah and the prophets, you'll see a distinction once Israel divided, separated, you'll see a distinction between the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. But when we get to the New Testament, it's not as obvious to see the difference between the two. How do you see it? Where do you see it? Many cases where you see Jew and Gentile that's dealing with the northern and southern kingdom, contrary to what many have taught about that passage. And I proved it a number of times going into the Greek. Right? But the Messiah said to these guys. So when you see that word Jew, that doesn't necessarily, he's not dealing with Judah. He's dealing with Edomites in here. And if you want to just say it if you want to hold on to it, you could truly say, or Israelites operating in the spirit of Esau. But I'm going to show you that no, these weren't Judah, descendants of Judah operating in the spirit of Esau. Right? So I know ye are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me because my words have no place in you. So who is Christ? Who is the Messiah addressing? Right? When we go to verse 31 and 33 in this same text, as I pointed out, then Yahushua said to those Jews which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed. And ye shall know the truth. And here it is. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Some of you guys probably getting ready to shout when I quote this text right here. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. I know y'all ready to shout on that. Y'all ready to shout on that. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Can I get a yeah? You guys ready to scream out, yeah, Pastor? I think the Most High never preached like that, right? I just couldn't do it. That just wasn't the approach that the Most High blessed me with. He just had me just teach, not get into that charismatic stuff, right? Now I could preach, but I didn't go into there, So again, just want to give clarity here. So ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, right? Verse 33, they answered him, we be Abraham's seed. This is the key, family. They answered him, we be Abraham's seed, and were never in bondage to any man. How sayest thou, ye shall be made free? And this is what really caught my attention right here. Because if you understand the Edomites were not in bondage to any of the Romans. When you look through the history, Esau, the Edomites always made plans. They always entered into agreements to circumvent the judgment. And I want to say shout outs and peace and blessings to Eric Tinsley. Thank you for the seed. Thank you for sowing to the works here. I really appreciate the love, support. Thank you again. And family, let's show some love for Eric Tinsley for the gift that he's shared with this platform. Thank you again, Brother Eric. Really appreciate you. Thank you again. Thank you. All right. So family, they answered him, and and this is key. This is what really hit me. It's like, wait a minute. When I went to actually do a lesson off of this entire chapter, and I was putting my notes together, I was putting my sermon together, it really hit me. Say, wait a minute. You know the history of Israel. They always been in bondage. Jeremiah chapter 2, the Most High declared a judgment over Israel about going with going into bondage, and even Jeremiah had to say, "Look, Yah, are you saying that is going to be our ultimate? We designed to be in bondage all the time? Are we made to be in bondage?" So when it says they answered him, "We be Abraham's seed, Zara, and were never in bondage to any man," saying that they were never in bondage. And even at this time in history, Israel was in bondage to the Romans, right? The Romans had the land of Israel was a providence of theirs. So again, they answered him, said, "We be Abraham's seed, and we were never in bondage to any man. How saith thou, ye shall be made free?" He said, "How you gonna free us? We never was in bondage. We never had to experience that stuff that you're talking about." Meaning that they weren't even in current bondage. And we know Israel was in bondage at this time. So according to scripture, the Messiah is addressing Jews. That's a word of confusion, family. A word of confusion, right? Because if you go there, say Yehuda or Yahwadah, right? Here we're just saying it in the Israeli language. Yehuda is using the Y as a vowel letter, right? And so this is what is called a sharuk. And so you'll see it makes the oo sound. But anyway, not getting into all of that. So when you go to the dictionary, it tell you this is the definition of Yahwadah. Judah, used for an individual, in other words, Jacob's son, Judah, also used for the tribe of Judah, but also for the southern kingdom, the nation, which consisted of 3 tribes, right? Judah, the Benjamites, and later the Levites connected with them, and when they fled from the northern kingdom under the rulership of Jeroboam, when he decided to replace the priesthood. When you go into the deeper studies of that. So this is what the etymology dictionary say of that word Jew. And I encourage you guys, go to this series, Words of Confusion, and you'll see me really go into the details about this word here, because this word is filled with delusions, it's filled with deception and confusion. Because when we see here, it says here in the etymology dictionary, and I remember when I caught this change, it says here, one of the Jewish race or religion. When did the Israelites, when did the tribe of Judah, because this is supposed to be a transliteration of transliterations, multiple transliterations, right? How did that name go to being? How did these people be considered a race? How did they be considered a race? It says one of the Jewish race. I was like, that makes absolutely no sense. Latin, Udeum, right? Nominative, Udeus, from the Greek, Udeos, from Aramaic, which is Semitic, Jehude, right? Jehude, right? Then we see here Yehudi from Yehuda, right? But we see that again, when did that word become synonymous to all of Israel, right? That's why the Limbas made it. I'm not the Limbas, but the Ebos, when they was talking to the Rabbi Shapira, they gave him some kickback that make it clear, like, hey, wait a minute, to be a Jew, he said everyone all of Israel can't be a Jew, but a Jew can be an Israelite. Every Jew can be an Israelite, because they were defining that word as being Judah, not from how it's being taught right now. Word of confusion. All right. That is a word of confusion. But if you go into the Barnhart Etymology Dictionary, which is a good etymology dictionary, notice what you see here. You don't see that input there. So these are things that are being subtle change. Remember I said the bruise. These are bruises that are being made to key words that are further pushing delusions and confusing people. All right. You don't see one of the Jew races. It simply says here, borrowed through Anglo-French, and it gives you some of the evolutions of it, Old French, you see some of the names here. Latin, you know, it gives you how the word developed. And it says Judah, name of the fourth son of Jacob. All right. So when did the word Jew become associated with all of the ancient Israelites? Right. Here's another key source. Guys, I got to bring these sources out regularly, repeatedly, just so you can have it for your reference. Strictly speaking, it is incorrect to call an ancient Israelite a Jew, or to call a contemporary Jew an Israelite or a Hebrew. The first Hebrews may not have been Jews at all, right? So it's making it clear. And it's dealing with these modern. That's what it's dealing with. It's incorrect to call an ancient Israelite a Jew, or to call a contemporary Jew an Israelite. This is dealing with what we see, the people that we see today that's occupying the land. Saying you can't call them the ancient people. That's why you hear the term Israeli. That's why you hear the term Israeli, because of that point that I just made. All right. All right. Family, let me say this, family. Because I want to make this clear, because this is, I wasn't paying attention to the chat. And moderators, please keep the chat in order, because many of the people, when they start getting carried away and it becomes a distraction to what we're actually teaching, you're taking away from others that's really teaching, wanting to get this understanding. We should not be so caught up into, I see comments about Noah's sons. We're not dealing with Noah's sons tonight. We're dealing with a major problem within our community, giving clarity to Jacob and Esau. This is where we start getting into that place of active hostility, division. Why are we getting caught up into all these different discussions, side discussions that's confusing people, confusing those that really want to learn? Moderators, if people are getting off topic, give them a warning, and if they continue to do so, send them out the chat, because we have to have order here, family. We would not do this if we were in school. We would not do this if we were sitting under a professor, and some even would try to say, hey, we're not in class. No, I'm giving a lesson here. That is very disrespectful, and it's distracting. So if anyone is distracting, taken away from what we're actually teaching tonight, guess what? Moderators, go ahead and have at it, because it's really that's being divisive. That's confirming what I'm teaching tonight. Right? When you start getting into the spirit of Esau, because guess what? You got a lot of people that could be blood descendants of Judah operating in the spirit of Esau, or operating in the spirit of Jacob. The spirit of Jacob was a heel grabber. The spirit of Jacob was keeping others from what? Advancing, keeping his own brother from advancing. So the spirit of Esau is not dealing with skin complexion. It's dealing with the spirit of a person. So family, we have to be better with this. So if anything outside of what we're teaching tonight, if you're not having conversations of the sources that are covered, then guess what? You are being a distraction. And we should not have these distractions inside of teaching at all. Even if, it'd be different if we're just shooting a breeze. Like my pastor used to say, my old pastor used to say, he said, the church is the only place where people think it's okay to come and act crazy. They would do stuff that they would never do at their jobs. They would never do at the court, standing in front of a judge. They would not do this at, they would not do certain things in certain settings, but come to the assembly and just lose their mind. Family, let's be respectful. Let's be respectful. Let's stop with the side conversations that is taken away from the actual lesson, and it's becoming a distraction. And again, moderators, you guys know what to do. Give a warning. And if they don't take heed to the warning, the initial warning, go ahead, just have a block party. Just have a block party. And I appreciate you, chosen by Yah, and apologies for the distractions that you see, for those that are being distracted by some of these side conversations here. And thank you, Sister Carol. Really appreciate it. Go do your thing. All right. And those that are moderators, go for it. All right. Here we go. And that's not even biblical to do what we're seeing on display. That's not biblical at all. All right. So again, as you see here, strictly speaking, it is incorrect to call an ancient Israelite a Jew or to call a contemporary Jew an Israelite or a Hebrew. The first Hebrews may not have been Jews at all. Okay, so when did the Jewish community become a race? That's a question, right? But we're not going to get into all of that. But this is a key verse to go back to John chapter 8. This is a key verse. Let's go to Malachi chapter 1, verse 3, because this really hit me. I didn't go into the details of it, but this is where it really hit me. It says, Malachi chapter 1, verse 3, and I hated Shana, Esau. We see another word for hate, right? That transliterates to the word hate. This is the Most High saying, and I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. So I hated Esau, Shana. So what is the meaning of hate, Shana, and how is it how it's properly used in the text? How is it properly used in the text? Let me show you. Right? We see hate, right? To hate, right? Enemy, foe, hate, hateful, or hater rather. Hateful, hater of persons, a hater of persons, a hater of nations, a hater of the Most High, a hater of wisdom. Enemy, foe, Shana, right? In the ancient, is the Israeli language, Sene, right? That's how you pronounce it, right? But anyway, so why did Yahweh refer to Esau as being an enemy, a foe? And I'm going to put this inside the, ask you guys that are watching, right? And you can post your comments here. Why did the Most High, why did Yahweh refer to Esau as an enemy? And I'll read your comments here. Why did he? Why did he? Absolutely, Wayne Robinson, the earliest Hebrew, right? The father of the Hebrew is actually Eber. Absolutely correct. So why did Yahweh refer to Esau as an enemy? Why? So, and you guys, if you want to answer the question, go ahead and answer the question. If you guys know, let me see here. Dante Williams posted a comment. Let me see here. What did Dante say? Because he knew he would help sell his brother into slavery. Okay. A great comment right there. Appreciate the input. Anyone else? Why did Yahweh refer to Esau as being an enemy? An enemy, a foe. Anyone else? Let's see here. I appreciate you. Let's see here. Brother Wayne, he said out of envy. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Tia, for election. Okay. Actual Israel, because he sold his birthright. All right. Someone else said the same thing. Jason said that because he sold his birthright, because he lived by the sword, by Miss Stacy, light to the nations, said that Esau felt like he didn't need Yah. Let's see, Sister Carol. Get out of here, Sister Carol. You got the cheat sheet. I ain't putting your answer up here, Sister Carol. You got the cheat sheet. Stop with you cheating, Sister Carol. I'm going to put you in timeout for it. No, I'm just messing with you, sis. Let's see. D Lyons. Esau would follow the character of Satan. Let's see here. Esau did not strive after Yah, the Most High's own heart. So you guys give me some great comments. Esau, Edom were and are Hebrews, but not Israelites. Let's see here. Yah hated Esau from the beginning. Let's see here. Eric Tinsley, his hatred for Jacob. So you guys are giving some great answers. As Brother Dante pointed out, you guys are giving some great answers. But let's answer this question. I'm going to give you clarity with scripture. Why did Yahweh refer to Esau as an enemy? Because Esau threatened to kill the promise. Let me say that again. Esau threatened to kill the promise. Let me say that one more time. And I hope you guys grab hold of this. When Esau threatened to kill his brother, right? He threatened to kill the promise because now the blessing was given to Esau. It was pronounced, not Esau, over Jacob, the messianic blessing, the royalty blessing, the royal seed blessing was spoken over Jacob, right? And now when Esau threatened to kill him, he threatened to kill the promise. He threatened to kill the promise. Let me prove it to you with text as we get ready to wrap up, right? Notice this here. Going back to John 8, then this is going to give the slam dunk here. John 8, chapter 43 and 44. Notice here. Why do ye not understand my speech? Even because ye cannot hear my words. This is the Messiah speaking. Notice what he says here. Ye are of your father, the who? Devil. Wait a minute. You see how the Messiah gave clarity, just what we pointed out? Esau, by him promising to kill Jacob, he threatened the promised seed, ultimately to kill the messianic blessing, the blessing of the Messiah. Killing Jacob would kill the Messiah. Kill Jacob, that's killing the royal seed. Killing Jacob is killing the blessing. So here we see the Messiah saying, ye are of your father, the devil, Shatan, which transliterates to Satan. And notice how the Messiah took it all the way back to the beginning. He says, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. Man. And then it goes on to say, when he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. That is a slam dunk right there. Let's go ahead and give a 3-piece here. So guess what? The Messiah told these people right here that their father, because they said, hey, we never knew bondage, right? That their father, let me go back here, because this is the last slide here. They told them that they're Abraham's seed, but they never knew bondage. And the Messiah said to them, ye are of your father, the devil, Shatan. Hate Esau, father Esau, taking it all the way back to Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, the seed of the serpent. He's saying you guys are the seed of the serpent. You guys are behaving in the manner, the order, darak or arak of your father, the devil, which we see that Esau and Jacob, the manner that was between them was what? Their behavior, their spirit. So Esau and his descendants, guess who they dealing with? They're dealing with the spirit of Hasatan. And that is the act of hostility towards the Most High's people. Esau has a natural hatred for the Most High's people because of what happened, what was handed down, because of the situation. Now Esau, through his descendants, guess what? They always had a history of going against Israel, going to the enemy, entering into agreements. King Herod had an agreement. Antipater, his father Antipater, had an agreement with the Romans. He was buddy with the Romans. The Edomites was in buddy with the Romans. But guess what? Right? Guess what? When you understand this, when King Hyrcanus or whatever, when he decided to let the Edomites live among them, he broke Malachi chapter 1. They were not supposed to live among them. They're not supposed to even be in the temple. So here it is, family. I just gave you clarity. I proved with the Messiah's own words that the people that he's dealing with, He's not dealing with Judah. He's dealing with Esau right here, his descendants right here. Their father, they said they be Abraham's seed. They didn't say that they be Jacob's seed. They said that they be Abraham's seed because that means that they both, Esau and Jacob came through Isaac, right? So they're saying they're descendants of Isaac, but they're not descendants of Jacob. They're not descendants of Yashara'al. So therefore, their father through Esau, right, who had this operating in the spirit of hate, Shatam, right, who became a foe to the Most High, Shana, guess what? The spirit of the serpent. You see how that ties all the way back to Genesis 3:15, family. You can't get away from that. And this is what opened my eyes and said, I can't teach this no more. I can't teach the way that I was teaching anymore. I'm not going to teach my sermons the way I was teaching anymore. This teaching right here, when I was preparing this message, because I'm like, wait a minute, because I love history. So when I was really studying that text, especially when I started taking Hebrew classes, because I went to some of my old professors, reaching out to a couple of them, saying, "Hey, can you give me clarity on John 8?" They couldn't give me clarity on John 8. I started going into commentaries and all that, no clarity on John 8. I decided to say, hey, you know what? I started with Greek, and then I was like, oh, when they told me that Greek comes from the Phoenicians, when I got the history of that in the very first class, I was like, wait a minute. I don't need to be studying Greek. I need to be studying Hebrew. Then I started studying the Israeli language, thinking that it was ancient Hebrew. But anyway, guess what? By me studying that, then that's when all the pieces began to fall into place. So you see, Esau is the Edomites is in what is called the New Testament. You just have to now really understand the lingo, understand and pay attention to the words, and you'll see that they're there. They are there. And that's what got me, put me on this path, the right path, with this truth. I always knew that I was Israel, but teaching this right here, this is where it places the point of emphasis, saying, you know what? I need to teach this truth. I can't teach no more of this stuff that I learned in school. I can't teach this programming anymore. And this is where I made a major shift and began to teach my wife, and then began to teach the leaders at our assembly before I presented it to all the people to make sure that we were on the same page. All right. So let's see here. Is there some questions here? I thought I saw some questions here, but I hope this blesses you, family. And again, I'm going to do the series Active Hostility, and I'm going to walk you through how Israel became a divided kingdom, tying it into that very first prophecy, Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. And we learned here, summarizing everything, we learned that the forbidden fruit is conversation, discussions, distracting by way of those conversations, right? And then we also see that when we're dealing with Jacob and Esau, or Esau and Jacob, because he's the oldest, so you see the oldest name first, we are dealing with the spirit. We're dealing with the manner of the two. We're not dealing with their physical appearances. And I prove to you that Esau is not the white man. Now, some of his descendants did mingle with other nations. Guess what? But overall, Esau did not get completely absorbed into other nations. Other nations began to take on their study, their approach to the law, statutes, and commandments. Because if Abraham was honoring the law, statutes, and commandments, that means that Isaac was honoring this law, statutes, and commandments. And if Isaac was honoring this law, statutes, and commandments, that means that Esau and Jacob was honoring the law, statutes, and commandments. So Esau knew the law, statutes, and commandments. He knew the Most High's name. So what you see here today with this Judaism, when you start understanding the Talmud is actually anti-Torah. That's the spirit of Esau right there. That Talmudic doctrine is anti-Judah. It's anti-Israel. And you're going to see the act of hostility all in that doctrine. So when we see our brothers and sisters going at it, right, like we saw in that video that I took down, guess what? That's act of hostility. The spirit of Esau on some of our brothers and sisters. And when we see people trying to hold each other back, that's the spirit of Jacob. That's that heel grabber mentality. So I hope that helps you. I hope this lesson helps you, family. And I just decided that I was going to do a special live tonight, just to walk you guys through, to give you proper clarity. You know, again, this is what I am all about. I'm all about teaching our people with clarity. I don't care about the drama. I don't care about all that the rah-rah. I don't care about all that other stuff. I just care about our people getting this thing. Even if it's just one of you guys getting this thing and able to go and talk to your family and say, here's the truth right here. So I appreciate it. BDT, by the way, Pastor Kelly, I love that documentary, Reclaiming the Throne. Great job, all of you that worked on that, on the video. Thank you. Really appreciate the love and support. And we do have another video that's getting ready to come out, that I'm producing, a documentary called Road to Savannah. I'm taking my time with it. Initially, I was trying to get it done in a short period of time, to do part 2, but I'm taking my time with it because it has a lot of information. We're covering so much, and I'm going to give translations. I'm going to do a couple of translations of the pews. We got a lot that's going into this documentary, and my goal is to allow you guys to see it for free, but then I'm going to work on getting it onto some special platforms so that way we can have another documentary out there that really gives us clarity. And I'm going to show you why the church and all these so-called apologists that are coming at our community, why they purposely and set on dealing with a certain group of people to try to push this narrative that they are the fathers, the founders of the so-called Hebrew grassroots movement. So that the video that I'm going to put out there is going to shut down a lot of the foolishness that we see going on today. And I think I have. Did I take it down? I think I took it down. I thought I still had it up here. I was going to show you a clip, of the video. As a matter of fact, I'll show you a clip. It's here. This is the trailer to The Road to Savannah, and then we get ready to wrap up. So that's the trailer from the upcoming video, Road to Savannah, the documentary. It should be dropping pretty soon. And so I really appreciate you guys for the love and support, and have some special guests that's going to be on the video that's going to be on that documentary. Have some special voices there, and I'm really excited about it. So yeah, I really appreciate you guys for the love and support. I think I see a couple of questions as we get ready to wrap it up. Let's see here. Pastor Kelly, have you ever had conversation with Rod Dalton? Yeah, actually had conversation with him. I was on his Hebrew the Negro show when he used to have it And I believe Sister Tina used to help. We used to co-host it with them. So I've been on this platform, met him in person, visited him out in Detroit, and so yeah, I met Ron Dalton, met a lot of the teachers with platforms in person. Hebrew Nation, you guys already know that. Benea, my cousin, he's my cousin. Boom, far as Bishop Brown, my cousin. Want to also give shout outs to my cousin, Pastor Jerry Carr, up in Massachusetts, Springfield, Massachusetts. Really, I love my cousin. Appreciate him. Grew up. We're brothers, right? He's like my I ain't gonna say little brother because he's not that much younger than me, but really appreciate him. And also Dr. Carr. I want to say shout outs to him as well. But again, family, really appreciate it. That's just a sample of what's to come. And with that being said, family, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. But there's a lot to come with this Road to Savannah. Want to make sure take the approach of a documentary, but the key is want to make sure that you guys can take things out of it and help others get out of some of the delusions that they're running with and give clarity on history, key points of history that continues to get overlooked. So with that being said, family, I want to say this again. Really appreciate you guys. And in the words of Moses, as he had to encourage the children of Israel, right? He said to them in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today, you will never have to deal with them ever again. The Most High will fight for you. But here's the kicker, family. Here is the kicker. You have to hold your peace. Can't go back. Can't stay here. Keep moving forward. Shalom.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was black. Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel.